In this video, I'm going to be talking about everything during E3, so keep in mind this is going to be one video I make on my channel specifically just about E3. I'm not going to have any more videos, I'm just going to lump everything up into one video, so keep in mind this video is going to be an extremely long video. Also, I'm not going to cover every single game because that would just drain me and there's too much information, so I'm only going to be talking about the games that do interest me and games that I think that are really exciting. So if there's a game out there that I don't think is exciting, I'm not going to talk about it in this video. By now, you probably know all the announcements. And then second of all, if you want to know my opinions on a specific game, you can just ask me in the comments section below, and I will try to answer your question if you want to know more about one specific game. If I'm going to buy that game, what do I think about that game? So anyway, let's start off this E3 video with the biggest announcements from Xbox. We're going with Xbox first because man oh man, there was some pretty good stuff Microsoft actually showed off at this year's E3. Let's start off with one of the biggest games that is coming to the Xbox brand. I'm talking about Cyberpunk 2077, and Cyberpunk 2077 flat out looks like an amazing game. Unfortunately, we did not see any gameplay of Cyberpunk 2077. We only actually saw a trailer with cinematics, unfortunately, but from what we saw from that game is definitely living up to the hype, at least from what we saw so far. And so far, I'm very impressed with everything with Cyberpunk 2077, and I can tell you as of right now, I'm definitely looking forward to that game. Now, we didn't get a hard release date, but we did get somewhat of a release date for Cyberpunk 2077, and it looks like Cyberpunk 2077 is going to be a game that is releasing, I think, early spring 2020, I do believe. I apologize if I get some of these release dates wrong because there's just so many games out there, but yes, it looks like it's coming out early 2020, so that's some very exciting news for people who are fans of open world style games. This game definitely looks like it's going to be one of the best open world games maybe of all time. Who really knows, but overall this looks flat out fantastic, and that was the big hard hitter that Microsoft actually announced. And then during Microsoft's press conference, we did actually find out more information on the upcoming Battletoads game, because yes, there is an upcoming Battletoads game, and I'm actually kind of interested in this game because I think this game is very interesting. If you don't know anything about Battletoads really quickly, Battletoads is pretty much a game that pretty much originated on the original NES, and it's pretty much a beat-em-up style game, and this one is pretty much the same thing as a beat-em-up style game. Overall, I like the art style of the game. Overall, I do like almost everything about this game, so this is a certified go for me. It's kind of unfortunate there is no online multiplayer. You do have to have friends over because it is local multiplayer over, and with a game like Battletoads that's really trying to focus on a lot of the beat-em-up style aspects and a lot of multiplayer aspects, you would think they would want to go with online multiplayer, but unfortunately this has nothing to do with online multiplayer. It's going to be local multiplayer only, so it is what it is. But hey, at least it's nice that we are getting a brand new Battletoads game when it actually comes to Battletoads and things like that. So that's some very interesting news. And then two of the biggest hard hitters at the Xbox press conference was one, of course, we did get the confirmation that we are getting a brand new Gears of War game. It's actually funny that they're not actually calling the next Gears of War game Gears of War 5. They actually dropped Gears of War. They're just calling it Gears 5, so you can call it whatever you want, but Microsoft is calling it just Gears. I guess they have a lot of faith in their fans, and then they know what this franchise is and things like this. So we did get Gears of War 5. The unfortunate thing is we did not get any gameplay on the actual presentation, which was absolutely disgusting if you ask me, because that game is actually coming out right around the corner. I'm talking about in September, and you would have thought a game coming out in September that would want to show some gameplay of it, but nope, we just seen some cinematic trailer stuff there for Gears of War, and that's pretty much unacceptable for a game that's coming out right around the corner. But overall, it looks like it's going to be another Gears of War game. What can you really expect? Maybe Microsoft was on stage thinking a lot of fans know what this franchise is. If this is an established franchise by this time, it's been around since the Xbox 360 days, so of course it would make sense that maybe they have faith in their fans. The only one thing I'm not too happy about is the fact that Gears of War 5 specifically is coming out in September, and since this game is coming out in September, there's going to be a lot of other hard-hitting games that are coming out in September. But again, I think Microsoft really has a lot of faith in their fans who are die-hard Gears of War fans, where they'll know this thing will sell no matter what. It just sucks that there's a lot of other games in September. For me personally, I wish this game wasn't coming out in September. Just a really bad time for that. But yes, this might be the actual Gears of War game that actually gets me back into Gears of War. I used to be a longtime fan of Gears of War, and then I dropped it for a while, and now I'm maybe considering going back to Gears of War. And the nice thing is, Gears of War, for the last 2 games, I think, Gears of War 4 and Gears of War 5, have both been on PC. So if you're a PC player and you want to play these games and you don't own an Xbox, you can actually buy that. So that's some flat out exciting news that those games are actually coming to the PC and to the Xbox. Another announcement, which was kind of subtle, and I don't think a lot of people were excited for this game, we didn't even know it was going to be a thing, was the fact that Minecraft is going to be a dungeon crawler style game, and it's pretty much Minecraft Dungeons. That's the name of the game, and Minecraft Dungeons is going to be a special game just because it's pretty much playing like Diablo, and I like those dungeon crawler style games. So overall, this game does really appeal to me, and I think it's going to be really fun. They did announce that Minecraft Dungeons is going to be a 4-player co-op online and 4-player co-op offline, so that's very nice if you have friends over, or if you don't have friends over, you can play it however you want. It's very interesting, and I think this game's actually going to appeal to a lot of people, whether you're a Minecraft fan or whether you're not a Minecraft fan. I think this game can appeal to a lot of different people, and it may even appeal to people who are fans of action, RPGs, those type of games, or if you play a lot of Diablo, this game really may appeal to you just because, well, it's that type of game, so it does make sense that some people may actually be interested in this game when it comes to Minecraft Dungeons. And it looks like Minecraft Dungeons is releasing sometime next year, so look forward to that. It's coming to pretty much every major platform in existence, so that's very nice. The one thing I am curious about Minecraft Dungeons is I want to know if this game actually has crossplay, because you guys know with Microsoft now, they've been doing a lot of crossplay, especially with Nintendo Switch owners with things like Minecraft, and of course this is a Minecraft property and it is Minecraft Dungeons. It would really make sense if you can do cross-platform on this, so we'll have to wait and see if Minecraft Dungeons actually gets crossplay or not gets crossplay. And then I guess some of the biggest stuff that Microsoft did announce at their press conference was the fact that we are getting a brand spanking new Halo game, Halo Infinite, I think it's called, and Halo Infinite flat out looks pretty good. Of course, again, just like the Gears of War 5 announcement, we did not get any gameplay, which I do not understand. A lot of these games at E3 are video games, they're not movies, so why show us cinematic trailers and trailers this and trailers that? It just does not make sense, and I was disappointed. Of course, if the game's not already done or they don't have any footage to show, of course they can't show it, but for some games they do need to show trailers, and they do need to show actual gameplay and not just cinematic trailers and things like that. That is freaking not acceptable. But I guess for Halo, it is acceptable for them not to show any gameplay because, one, it is the Halo name, and Microsoft knows people will buy Halo no matter what. It's not going to really differ from any of the Halo games. It's still going to be your core Halo game, and we all know what that is. But the real reason they're not going to be showing, they didn't actually show any footage in the actual presentation of the actual gameplay of Halo Infinite, is because you do have to realize that game, they did confirm, is going to be launching alongside the next Xbox, and they also did talk about the brand new Xbox, and we did actually get the release date, semi-release date. It's not really a true confirmed release date, like down to the wire, but at least we did get when it's kind of coming. We did already get a confirmation, and the confirmation for the next Xbox is going to be holiday 2020, so I'm assuming November or December of 2020. That's when we should have the next Xbox in our hands. But besides that, we really don't have any information on this console. We do know that it's going to be more powerful than the Xbox One X. Of course, that would make sense. And then they also did announce that for the first time in console history, they are going to be giving the new Xbox an SSD. What does that mean for the consumer? Well, that pretty much means you are going to be getting things like better graphics, but ultimately you will be getting better performance when it comes to loading times in video games, and that's something I'm super excited for when video games only have like milliseconds to load or just a couple seconds, no more 8, 9, 10 seconds, and some games load extremely long. So to have a true SSD in a console finally for the first time is absolutely going to be mind-blowing, honestly, and I can't wait to see that. And then another thing that the next generation of Xbox is going to be having in it, it is going to be having ray tracing. Now, ray tracing is already a thing with some of the newer graphics cards on PC, but basically, to summarize it, if you don't know what ray tracing is pretty much how certain things have reflections on certain surfaces. Like, for instance, maybe there's a puddle of water and your character reflects off of it, or maybe there's a building and certain things reflect off it in sunlight and everything like that. So games overall should look more prettier and better off with ray tracing. I'm very excited to see how they use this new technology, and besides this new technology is pretty much not even been implemented in too many video games currently on the market, and it's still in its baby steps of being a thing, so I'm very interested to see how far they actually take ray tracing. But so many of these companies who are making graphics cards today are definitely making a big deal about ray tracing. Of course, this generation of consoles don't have ray tracing, so it's going to be very interesting to see where they take ray tracing from here. And then another thing Microsoft did announce at the press conference was the fact that we are going to be getting a brand spanking new Xbox Elite controller. I think that's what it's called. Now, they already have one on the market, and this one that they already have on the market, I think it's going for like $120, $130. You can see it's already an expensive controller, but the way they showed this one and the way they showed all these features, this one is definitely going to be an expensive controller. Actually, it's going to be way more expensive than the one that we currently have on the market. It's going to be costing somewhere around $180. So you can see this is no joke when it comes to a controller. You definitely have to be a quote-unquote hardcore gamer, if you can even call yourself a quote-unquote hardcore gamer, because at $180, it's going to be super expensive to actually buy this thing. But granted, there is so many good improvements to this thing. It's almost like if you play games on a daily basis, or if for some reason gaming is your job, or whatever the case may be, then this thing is flat out going to be worth it to buy this thing. This thing's going to be comfortable. It looks like it's going to be made from a good material. Overall, they're adding a lot of improvements. One of the biggest improvements to this actual controller is the fact that for the first time in Microsoft or Xbox history, it is going to have a lithium-ion battery. So that means you will be able to charge this controller like a PlayStation controller or like a Nintendo Switch Pro controller. So that's absolutely amazing that you can actually do that, because, well, Microsoft has always used the AA batteries, and I know there is upsides to like alkaline or AA batteries. You can just change them whenever you want. You don't have to worry about the battery crapping out on you, and you can stock up a whole bunch and you never have to worry about anything. But I think for most consumers out there, they really did want a rechargeable battery in their Microsoft Xbox controller. So it is nice they did put it in this brand new Xbox Elite Controller 2 version, which is very nice, very expensive, but overall I think what you get for this controller is definitely going to be worth the money. If you play video games a lot and you really need all those features, if you just play games once in a while, this controller may not be worth it going out of the way for. You may want to buy the first Xbox Elite controller, or you just may want to buy a normal standard like $60 to $70 regular Xbox One controller, because, well, that is very expensive for a controller. It's almost as close as like buying a console at that point at $180, because you're getting in the $200 territory. That's just kind of expensive for what it is, but take it as it is. But overall, I pretty much liked everything Microsoft announced. Sure, there were some hit or misses, but overall I thought Microsoft presentation for the Xbox One and the upcoming Xbox was absolutely fantastic. One thing they did actually keep promoting on the Xbox presentation at E3 2019 was the fact that they kept promoting Xbox Games Pass, and I think at this very moment it is time to actually take the plunge and actually get Xbox Games Pass, because they did add some more games to the Xbox Games Pass back catalog. They got things like the newest Metro Exodus game. We also got Borderlands Handsome Jack Collection. We got one of the Batman Arkham Asylum games, I do believe. But then the nice thing about Xbox Games Pass, they are combining Xbox Games Pass, and they did announce a brand new Xbox Games Pass as well. So now Xbox Games Pass is going to be on PC and on the Xbox, which is actually pretty interesting. And they're actually adding a brand new membership when it comes to Xbox Games Pass. So there's a flat out $14 fee for this brand new Xbox Games Pass, and basically what this brand new Xbox Games Pass membership actually allows you to have. It actually allows you to have both versions of Xbox Games Pass, whether you're playing on PC or console, and then on top of that, it will give you access to Xbox Live, which you guys know that's a very expensive service if you were to buy that outright. So combining the two and giving you all that in one package for $14, it really does seem like that's the way to go if you're going to be a long-time Xbox Game Pass user. Even if you're not going to use things like, for instance, the PC version or the Xbox version, you only own one platform, it still makes sense to go for that better version of Xbox Games Pass, because, well, it's $14 and you get Xbox Live in the mix. If you were to pay for Xbox Games Pass plus Xbox Live, it just really doesn't make sense. It's better just to combine the two and call it a day, because at that point it's really going to be cheap. But just the fact that Xbox Games Pass, every brand new game coming out will be on Games Pass on day one, and that's absolutely fantastic. And there's so many good games, at least from right now, that Microsoft did announce that I haven't talked about personally, are games that I've already talked about, that there's just so many games, it's almost worth actually taking Games Pass for $10 a month, and I'm sure you can cancel your subscription whenever you want, and it just makes sense to play these hot new games. Maybe you just want to beat them for a month, you pay $10, and then once you're done beating the game that you wanted to play, you unsubscribe, and you only pay $10 for the game, essentially. You didn't have to buy it outright for $60, or maybe you want to play the backlog of all the games that are currently on the Xbox Games Pass service. That actually makes sense as well because, well, there's some games you have to admit that you're never going to buy in your lifetime because they're games that don't appeal to you, or they're just flat out games that suck so bad that there's no point of actually buying them. But if they're on the Xbox Games Pass service anyway, you might as well go ahead and try those out and just see if they're going to be fun games, or just mess around with them for your $10 a month. So it really does seem like Microsoft is pushing the future of these subscription services, and Xbox Games Pass is becoming one of those things that it kind of feels like it's not even something you want to even think about. You really want to consider it in a lot of different aspects, and I really feel like a lot of people are going to start jumping on board when it comes to Xbox Games Pass, and it's definitely becoming much more of a thing that people are actually going to be considering. And of course, the one reason you would want to buy this out of everything is the fact that Cyberpunk 2077 is going to be playable on that thing day one, and that's absolutely fantastic news for that game, because that game is going to be a monster when it comes out. I already know that, and that's going to be amazing. So there's that. Now let's move over to some other press conferences. Let's move over to, I think, Bethesda, because Bethesda did announce some stuff, but as far as I know from Bethesda, I don't really want to talk too much about Bethesda because I don't think there was too many amazing announcements when it comes to Bethesda. They did talk a little bit about their failure, which is Fallout 76, and at least they're trying to clean up Fallout 76, it looks like, from Bethesda. They did actually announce in Fallout 76 there is going to be a Battle Royale mode. I know some people may not like that, some people may like that, take it as it is, but it's interesting that they did announce a Battle Royale when it comes to Fallout 76, so that's actually some pretty interesting news when it comes to Fallout 76. And then they did give us more information on the upcoming Doom internal game, and the Doom internal game looks like it's going to be a flat-out fantastic game. And I think Bethesda, I think they said they're going to have some type of online subscription or some type of cloud gaming service. Correct me if I'm wrong, at least that's what I thought I heard in the presentation. Again, keep in mind there's so much information, I may actually be getting something wrong since I'm trying to cover everything in one video. And then another thing that I think that Bethesda actually talked about, I want to say, is, oh yeah, they are going to be bringing that Elder Scrolls Blade game, I think, to the Nintendo Switch. So that's actually some pretty interesting news that you'll be able to play that free-to-play Elder Scrolls Blade game on the Nintendo Switch. And it looks like it's going to use motion controls and everything like that. And they did actually confirm as well, if you do play Elder Scrolls Blades on your mobile device, whether it's your tablet or your smartphone, you will be able to transfer that data over to the Nintendo Switch when the Nintendo Switch version drops. So that's very interesting if you want to get a head start on that game. So I'm very excited about that, and I may actually give that game a go for once because it makes sense that game looks kind of interesting, and I actually never tried that. And if I like it enough, I can go ahead and jump over to the Nintendo Switch version if I want to play it on a big screen or play it on a bigger screen than my smartphone. So there it is right there. Some very interesting stuff right there. Now let's actually move over to Square Enix, because Square Enix did have a presentation, and Square Enix actually announced some pretty interesting stuff. Let's get the elephant out the room here. Of course, the elephant in the room right now is, of course, Final Fantasy VII Remake, and I must say, Final Fantasy VII Remake definitely feels like it's going to be a flat-out an amazing game. Oh my god. Honestly, when they came on stage and actually showed more footage of this game, when we seen them like face a boss battle and actual see them playing this thing, it was actually mind-blowing, and I'm sure a lot of people out there do agree with me as of right now. Of course, if you're not into Final Fantasy, you're not into JRPGs, or you just don't like those type of RPGs in general, this may not appeal to you, but for me personally, this is flat out amazing. I actually find it interesting that they're changing this game from a turn-based RPG, which it was originally a turn-based RPG, and now they're turning it into an action RPG, and that's absolutely fantastic. And this thing is going to be a game I'm definitely probably going to buy on day one without a doubt. We also got a confirmation of when this game was coming out, and I'm pretty sure a lot of fans of Final Fantasy VII were not predicting this game to actually come out as soon as it's coming out. It's not coming out anytime this year, unfortunately, but it is coming out, I think, March of 2020, so it's right around the corner. A lot of people were actually expecting this game to be a next-generation game, so to see it come out as early as it is absolutely mind-blowing, because you know how massive, how big this game is. You can see all the production quality in this game. This game is absolutely going to be a monster when this game comes out. So who would have thought at this very moment that this game would have came out as soon as it actually coming out? So props to Square Enix for actually making this game happen as soon as possible, and I'm so excited about this game. Everything about this game just looks absolutely badass. Cloud slashing up people, fighting enemies, all the different characters, yada yada yada. I'm not really going to go into it, but you guys know that game is definitely going to be one for the ages right there. That game is going to be flat out fantastic. And then they did some other releases here or there when it comes to like JRPGs, when it comes to RPGs. The other one big one that they did announce at a Square Enix press conference is they did actually talk about that upcoming Marvel Avengers game. I do apologize. I was trying to figure out the name of it, but Marvel Avenger game. Overall, the way I'm actually seeing it is, I don't believe we saw any actual gameplay of it. Correct me if I'm wrong there again. But anyway, as far as I've seen it, I don't know how I feel about this game. One point I want to say, I like this game because this game looks like it's going to be a cool game, but for some reason I'm not really too attracted to this game. I think the reason I'm not really attracted to this Marvel Avenger game that's coming out, I think I don't like the way that this game actually looked. When I first saw this trailer, the cinematic trailer for the game, I didn't really like the way the character models looked. I also didn't like the way the world looked. Overall, this game's giving me really mixed vibes. I'll have to wait and see about the gameplay. I'll have to wait and see more about the game to really determine if this game is going to be for me or not. But overall, this game definitely does look interesting. I'm not going to write it out completely just because I don't like the way the game looks. I don't like the way the character models look. I'm not going to write it off. But right now, I'm definitely getting mixed vibes. I don't know whether I want to like it or whether I want to dislike it. I just don't know from that aspect. And I think we also we got some little shadow drops. Like for instance, I think we got some Kingdom Hearts 3 DLC or something like that, and then we got some other games there too. We got some more Final Fantasy. Of course, there was a lot of Final Fantasy at the Square Enix presentation, but of course that makes sense since Square Enix is known for Final Fantasy. They made Final Fantasy, so of course you're going to be seeing a lot of Final Fantasy news from them. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got for their press conference. And then let's move over to Ubisoft. I think Ubisoft announced some games or something. I want to say games because honestly, I got to keep it real with you guys. I just want to brush past Ubisoft because from what I've seen from Ubisoft, nothing really appealed to me. Their studio is always a studio that sometimes I like their games, but a lot of times I just do not like their game. And overall, I'm not really too big of a fan of what Ubisoft has to offer. They have Assassin's Creed, they have Ghost Recon, they have some other franchises, but in general, I'm not a hardcore Ubisoft fan, so this one really did not appeal to me, and I didn't really see anything to talk about, so I'm not even going to really talk about Ubisoft altogether. Now let's actually get the big one out the way, Nintendo, because you guys know I'm one of the biggest Nintendo fans. That's my main platform. I swear and die by Nintendo. I'm going to be Nintendo till death. I love, love, love Nintendo. So let's talk about Nintendo. Now, Nintendo just did their big E3 2019 press conference, which was pretty much, of course, you guys know, not really a conference. They usually just do a Nintendo Direct style presentation when it comes to Nintendo. And let's actually talk about what they actually announced and how hyped was I when it comes to Nintendo as a whole. Honestly, I do have to keep it real with you guys. After seeing this presentation Nintendo actually did for the Nintendo Switch, honestly, I can safely say I was pretty disappointed. There's not anything in there that I'm like super wowed by and it's like I must buy this on day one, and if I don't buy this on day one, I'm gonna die. That's not how I feel with this one, unfortunately. I know some people out there may feel differently than what I'm feeling, especially if you're a fan of a lot of RPGs or a lot of JRPGs. You're definitely going to like a lot that's in here, but for me personally, I just felt like there was too much RPG love in this one, and that's not really a bad thing, like I said, especially if you're into RPGs. But for me personally, I'm not the hardcore hardest of RPGs, and especially JRPGs, so a lot of things in here really did not appeal to me. There was two big things in here that are really mind-blowing, kind of, honestly. One of them was Luigi's Mansion, and this game is actually looking like it's going to be a flat-out fantastic game. They showed some new mechanics when it comes to the Poltergust for Luigi. Overall, this game is looking like it's going to be way better than the first one, and Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon when it comes to Luigi's Mansion 3. Now, the unfortunate thing is, even though they're calling this game Luigi's Mansion 3, this game is not Luigi's Mansion 3. They had to name it Luigi's Mansion 3 because it would make sense, and a lot of people already know this franchise since there's already 2 games in the franchise. But basically, you're going to be playing in a hotel instead of a traditional mansion, and you can see the name there, Luigi's Mansion, but it's still a hotel. But like I said, they have to make sure people buy this game, so of course they have to brand it Luigi's Mansion instead of like Luigi's Hotel, because that wouldn't make sense at this point, so that makes sense. But overall, I'm very happy with this game, and this game looks promising, and it said it's coming sometime later this year. They didn't really give out a release date. They just said coming sometime in 2019, so that's very interesting, and I am very excited about that game. And then the next one, Nintendo actually announced very late, I think at the last second before the Nintendo Direct actually cut, was the fact that we did get confirmation about Animal Crossing. And I have to keep it real with you guys, I'm not a hardcore Animal Crossing game. I don't like these open-ended games or these sandbox type games. These are not for me. But from seeing this Animal Crossing game, this game is actually looking like it's going to be an amazing game. Unfortunately, the release date got pushed back. It was supposed to be originally a 2019 release date on the upcoming Animal Crossing game, but it looks like Animal Crossing, as far as we know from Nintendo officially, they did say it's going to be coming out next year, I think early next year, in March or April, spring of 2020, so that's very interesting. But I think this game deserves to be the best it can be, because I know there's so many Animal Crossing fans, and so many Animal Crossing fans been waiting for a proper game for years, and this is going to be the first one, I do believe, that's going to be in HD for the first time, because I think the last console game we actually got was actually back on the Wii, I want to say. So of course fans do deserve a proper good Animal Crossing, and they definitely want to blow it out the water. So props to Nintendo for actually delaying it, and I think most hardcore Animal fans will admit it's probably a better idea to not release it and give out a subpar game, and then to just release it next year and get flat out an amazing game. But from what we've seen, as little as we've seen from Animal Crossing, this game definitely looks like it's going to be a monster when this game actually comes out. And overall, I may make that clear, may actually pick this up. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to pick up the next Animal Crossing, because I did pick up Animal Crossing New Leaf. I played it for about 10 hours, but then I abandoned the game because I realized this game wasn't for me, and I had a problem. I didn't like some of the mechanics. I didn't like something about it. I'm not going to go into too much details, but maybe if I see more information, more gameplay, what you can do in this Animal Crossing, this game may actually appeal to me, because I actually do like things like The Sims. I'm not against sandbox type games or life simulators and things like that, so I may end up picking this game up. It just really does depend. We still need to see more information, but at least the world's looking like it's going to be a flat out amazing world. One thing I've always liked about the Animal Crossing games is the fact that the Animal Crossing franchise, no matter what, has some of my favorite music of all time in video games. It's so calming, so relaxing. I love everything about the music. I can listen to Animal Crossing music forever. I just love Animal Crossing, and that would make me want to play this game as well, listening to the soundtrack of Animal Crossing. But again, I'm not 100% sure if this game is going to be for me or not. I'm still a mixed bag, but it flat out looks amazing. And then of course when it comes to Super Smash Bros., we're still missing some DLC from Super Smash Bros., and they did announce that we are getting some brand new DLC for Super Smash Bros. And what did they announce for Super Smash Bros. DLC characters? Well, one, we are going to be getting a Dragon Quest character, so that's very interesting. Of course, they're just going to be sword characters, so for me personally, I wasn't too excited for that, since I'm not really a fan of the sword characters coming to Smash Bros., since we already have a lot of sword characters, and they're just kind of generic to me. But more DLC, the better. I can't really complain with that, and that one was pretty good, especially if you're a fan of Dragon Quest and things like that, then that's definitely going to appeal to you, and maybe I'll check out that one. But the one that's really going to be a big hard hitter, which I think for the first time in a long time, I am going to be buying this DLC specifically for Smash Brothers, is the fact that we did get Banjo-Kazooie. Banjo-Kazooie was in Super Smash Bros. As DLC as of right now, and it was actually funny when they first actually showed the release of Banjo-Kazooie in Super Smash Bros. They had Donkey Kong. They had pretty much, I think, all the rare characters that are in Smash Bros. Like Donkey Kong. They had like a little trailer for them, and then when they finally almost showed the Banjo-Kazooie reveal, they kind of showed Duck Hunt, since Duck Hunt does have a bird on its back and it is a duck. And when they first showed this thing, we thought it was going to be Banjo-Kazooie, because Duck Hunt, for some reason in the trailer, did look like Banjo-Kazooie, but then when he come on stage, we're like, what the heck? But we all still knew that Banjo-Kazooie was coming, and if you're a hardcore Banjo-Kazooie fan and you played Banjo-Kazooie back on the N64, there's no way you did not know this was Banjo-Kazooie coming, with the whole thing playing up with Donkey Kong, and even seeing Duck Hunt just looking like Banjo-Kazooie. There was no way you didn't know this was coming, and a lot of fans wanted Banjo-Kazooie actually in Super Smash Bros., so I can't really blame fans for getting this, because I think this was the right move from Nintendo. It fits Nintendo's aesthetic. Overall, this is a really good, solid character, and I think it's one of the best characters we've seen in a while for Super Smash Bros., at least in my opinion. I think it even takes the cake over something like Joker or something like Dragon Quest Warriors characters coming to Super Smash Bros. Banjo-Kazooie is a big deal. That also gives me hope in the near future we might actually see some type of Banjo-Kazooie game. Who really knows on that front? And then for other stuff that they actually talked about in it, they actually announced that we are going to be also getting some brand new Resident Evil love on the Nintendo Switch. You guys may remember back in May of 2019, so basically last month, they did announce a whole bunch of Resident Evil games coming to the Nintendo Switch, but it looks like we got more Resident Evil games on the way. We got Resident Evil 1, I think, or maybe that's already in the collection. I can't really remember about that, but we are getting for sure a Resident Evil 5, which is co-op, which is actually fantastic, and I have played that game, and I thought that game was a solid game back on the Xbox 360 and PS3. And then outside of that, we are getting Resident Evil 6, I do believe. So if you're a big Resident Evil fan, overall, this really does make sense, and the Nintendo Switch is going to be where it's at for a lot of Resident Evil love, because there's so many Resident Evil games coming to the Nintendo Switch. And I'm trying to think of other things that Nintendo actually announced. They did show more Pokemon, and right now they're still demoing Pokemon. If you're interested in Pokemon Sword and Shield, I guess to finish off this video, I'll talk about Pokemon Sword and Shield, because I never really talked about that direct that we had a couple of weeks ago about Pokemon Sword and Shield, so I'll talk about it here in this video to end off this video. So basically what I thought about this game when I first saw it, I wasn't sure if I was going to like this game. Am I going to rebuy Pokemon? Because I told you guys many times in my life it's very hit or miss when it comes to Pokemon. I'll buy Pokemon once a year, or excuse me, not once a year. I'll buy Pokemon once in a while, maybe every other year or every 2 years. That's how I really feel about Pokemon. They don't make enough improvements for me personally as a fan to where I feel like I need to buy them at $60 and play them every single year, every time they come out. The last one I did play, which was Pokemon Go, but Pokemon Go, Pokemon Let's Go, excuse me, not Pokemon Go. Pokemon Let's Go was the last game I played, but Pokemon Let's Go was not even a brand new generation. It was pretty much a Gen 1 remake. So the last actual new generation I actually played was Pokemon X and Y. You can see I skipped the whole generation. I skipped Pokemon Sun and Moon. I did not play that generation. Overall, the vibes I'm actually getting out of this game is it's definitely going to be a game I may consider. Don't hold your breath on that, but from what I'm seeing leading up to the release of Pokemon Let's Go, or excuse me, Pokemon Sword and Shield, I'm getting everything mixed up right now, but pretty much Pokemon Sword and Shield, I'm definitely liking a lot of the aspects of this game, and the more I'm actually seeing this game, I'm actually more blown away by the art style of the game, by the graphics of this game. Overall, this is definitely looking like it's going to be a better game than I initially thought, and I'm not going to write it out completely. And my hype level for this game is kind of skyrocketed since we've seen more gameplay, since we've seen that trailer, since we've seen that last Nintendo Direct, since they've been demoing it on E3 as of right now, and I've seen some stuff they've been demoing. So overall, my hype levels for that game are pretty high. But when it comes to Nintendo in this year or next year, honestly, I'm not too excited for a lot of releases. Unfortunately, as a hardcore gamer, I guess there's a lot of stuff already on the Nintendo Switch that I haven't bought outright, so I'm probably going to end up buying more games that way, and a lot of new releases I'm probably going to skip, to be honest. There's so many games on there that they announced, whether it's in this Nintendo Direct or Nintendo Directs a couple months ago, I'm just not too excited for, so I'm going to be skipping out on a lot of games in the next year to maybe year and a half, because I do not like a lot of things. Now, of course, keep in mind when it comes to Nintendo doesn't drop every single game release in one Nintendo Direct during E3. They have a lot of different Nintendo Directs spread out around the year. So, of course, they will most likely announce more games in more Nintendo Directs around the year. They'll probably have one in August, maybe October, November, who really knows, but they're going to have more Nintendo Directs, and maybe something else will pique my interest. But those are some things that I really thought was interesting when it comes to E3 2019. Again, I didn't talk about every single game release, but if you want to know a game that you're interested in and you're excited for, leave a comment down in the comment section below, and I will try to answer it. If you want to know my thoughts and opinions on every single game release, I just couldn't talk about every single game release, because you can see this video would even be longer than this, and I don't like every single game anyway, and I don't want to talk my head off about everything they announced at E3 2019. Anyway, guys, this is Wayne from My Tech News, signing out.